everyone, and welcome back to the A to B podcast. I am your host, Albert Ramos, and today we are joined by Jose Velez. Now, time out. Before we start talking about Jose, which I will introduce him here in a minute, I want to give you guys this little bit piece of information, okay? I've been knowing Jose for about 6 years now because I was his Marine Corps recruiter. And that's one of the many things that we're going to be talking about today. He was an active duty Marine. He got out. He served his 4 years honorably. He got out of the Marine Corps, and now he's pursuing his music career here in Los Angeles. So, Jose, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, brother. Of course. So, first of all, thank you for being here. I know this was kind of like yesterday. We were talking. It was like, bro, I would love to have you on the podcast, man. Like, why don't you come down? And you said yes. So I definitely appreciate you having him here. To me, believe it or not, it's really an honor to have you here, because I know you're gonna do great things in music. And for me to be the first one to interview you when you're doing an entrevista con Chente, con Moruco, and all that stuff, dog, it's gonna be a fun one to watch back.
Thank you for having me.
So brother, how you been?
I'm doing great. Doing a lot of music, working in a lot of projects. I just have a baby. Just had a baby, and I've been busy, but I'm doing great.
Hell yeah. So let's start with your early life, right?
Yeah.
I know that when I met you, it was in La Universidad de Puerto Rico de Bayamón.
Yeah.
The UPR Bayamón, that is the college, or one of the main colleges out there in Puerto Rico. And I was doing something that's called area canvassing. And all of a sudden, I see this dude walking up, and I don't know if you guys can see or you guys can feel it, but he's quiet. He's definitely on the quieter side, right? Yeah. So he approached the table, and I approached him, and I don't know what was it that caught your attention when we first met.
So actually, that was like the second time we talked.
Really?
Because the first time was actually in the office, in the recruiting office. But
really,
so
I don't remember that one.
So here's the thing. I had a friend called Miguel Colon. So he was already in the process of getting recruited. Oh. So he gave me the info. So I went to the office, and then we met up at the college again because I had to give you more information, and that's when we talked.
Got you. Yeah, I don't remember. The first time that I remember, I do remember Miguel. Is he out or is he in?
I have no clue.
You have no clue. That's crazy, huh? How we lost contact with people that essentially helped us shape our life, right? But okay, so we met. And I took you to the office. I remember I took you to the office, and you scored like a 30-something, I believe. And I think it was like 30-something or 40-something on the East.
Honestly, I think it was more. I think it was like I think at that time when I went to the office, you were like, we're looking for people that can score like over like 50, I think.
Over 50.
And I got like a 53.
Yeah, well, I know you got 53 on the ASVAB.
No, I didn't take the ASVAB. I only took the first part,
Oh
yeah.
Listen, guys. I'm trying to get my head wrapped around. I'm trying to get down memory lane.
It's been 6 years.
It's been 6 years.
It's a long time.
So it's been 6 years, but I know you got more than 50, right?
Yeah.
So how was that process like back then, right? You got recruited in back when, like 2017.
2017.
So how was that process for you trying to enlist in the Marine Corps?
Honestly, when I did it, I was really trying to enlist. It was not really just looking for information. I really wanted to do it. So honestly, I met you. It was really easy. It's like we went straight to the point. I did everything that I needed to do, and I think I went there like a Monday, and by Wednesday I did everything.
Yeah, you already did everything. Yeah, I remember that. In other words, guys, I don't fuck around whenever it comes to recruiting people. Okay, I don't fuck around. Hey, if you tell me you want to be a Marine, you're gonna be a Marine. Okay.
Yeah.
But what made you? Because that is a big determination, right? For you were going to college, a pristine college in Puerto Rico, one of the best colleges in Puerto Rico, as a matter of fact. What were you going to school for?
Finance.
So you were going to school for finances.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you decide to join the Marine Corps.
That's correct.
What was the determining factor to be like, well, I'm going to school for finance. Let me go ahead and join the Marine Corps. Like, what was it that changed your perspective?
I just needed something different. College was good. I was doing great. I loved finance. Talking about money, I love money.
Yeah, of course.
But it was. I feel like I needed more than that, and so I was trying to do something that I could like just work, but also learn at the same time and get the experience.
Gotcha.
So when I saw my friend, going through the process of joining the Marines, I was like, I think that's a great idea. And my grandfather was in the Army, so the military for some reason, like I wanted to do it, but I didn't know if I could do it.
Yeah.
But I went to college for like a year, maybe a year and a half, and then I was like, you know what, it's time to make a change.
Did you join the Marine Corps because of the financial benefits, or like was finances the main reason why you joined the military?
I think at first, yes.
At first, yes.
Yes.
But let me ask, because I know we had this conversation. Why not the Army? If the Army would have, your grandpa was in the Army, why not the Army? Why not the Navy? Why not the Air Force? Why not any of them? Because you had good scores too.
Yeah, I did. But when I started looking for like information about the branches and everything, it's just something about the Marines. It's just like I love the Marines. It was like it was like hardcore.
It was challenging.
It was challenging, and I wanted that. And so I did it. I went with the Marines.
Did the Marine Corps live up to your expectations of the challenge?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit more. So you were ready. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if you were a fruit bat or not. You know what a fruit bat is?
Well, like the pull-up bar.
Yeah, you can just hang in the pull-up bar. Were you one of those at the beginning?
Before, yes.
At the beginning,
at the beginning,
yeah. At the beginning, yeah. I think at the beginning you were.
I was.
And then by the time that you were in the delayed entry program and you started training, you were doing how many pull-ups? You're doing a shit ton, right?
Yeah, I was doing a lot.
Yeah, dude, you were doing like what? Like I think it was like 15 or something.
15, yeah.
Yeah, it was like you were doing like 15.
But I couldn't even do one when I got there.
I know.
That's crazy.
That's the crazy part. Yeah, I know. That's the crazy part. So let's talk a little bit more about how was that first year in the Marine Corps, right? Let's talk about how was boot camp, MCT, and your MOS school, and that that first few months in the fleet.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as we can see now, he is outside of the Marine Corps. So you only did 4.
I did 4.
Before you joined the Marine Corps, when you were in the delayed entry program, did you know that you only wanted to do 4 and get out, or did you midway through your enlistment, you were like, "Fuck this! I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out."
At first I didn't know. I think I wanted to do more. I wanted to do the military. I think I realized that I was only going to do 4 by the time I was about to finish my contract. But honestly, I love the Marines and I love the military. So I was trying to do this for a long time. Okay. But, music is something that I love to do. I will always do music no matter what. Yeah. So, at the end of my contract, I was like, I think it's time for me to actually do it
and pursue what you love.
Yeah, but I mean, I wanted to do the Marine Corps for a long time, but I just didn't know. It was like a new experience for me, coming out of Puerto Rico and now being in the state. My English was bad before I joined. Everything I had to learn everything, language, culture, everything. But it was a great 4 years.
Yeah, and I know, because not only was I his recruiter, I was also, listen, if there's a perfect guy to come to this podcast and talk about like me and talk trash or good things about me, he's gonna be this guy, because he knows me since I'm a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and now I'm a gunny, and I was his gunny on deployment because we deployed together as well. Yeah. It was the craziest thing, and we'll get to that part, right? But let's go back to like that first year. Did you lose your motivation during that first year? Because obviously, whenever you get your job, and did I lie to you about your job? I don't remember.
No.
If you're one of those, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, okay. You did not.
So I did it, right? I told you straight up.
Yeah.
And you ended up in supply.
Yeah.
Okay.
3043.
Yeah, 3043. Okay, so he ended up being at administrative supply. So he was the one that dealt with like the Amazon of the Marine Corps, basically. Okay, so you ended up in supply. Is that the job that you wanted? Because I know in supply you can do supply and you can also do like finances.
Yeah, that's why I wanted supply.
Okay,
because I wanted to do something that had to work with money or at least numbers, and that was perfect. Yeah, I did a lot of that.
Okay, so you were satisfied with your job.
Yeah.
How was your experience in boot camp?
Boot camp was hard. Not physically, but mostly like the language, because I had to like learn on the spot, and even the DIs they knew, but I did everything. Boot camp was hard, like 3 months.
Like it's supposed to be.
Like it's supposed to be,
like
but
it's supposed to be.
it was great.
Was there any point that you were like, "Fuck this, I'm gonna quit"?
No, not really.
Yeah, I didn't get any phone calls on him either, so that's good. Okay,
that was good.
So you graduated boot camp. You went to MCT.
That's correct.
And then MCT was normal, the full 30 days.
Yeah.
And then you went to your MOS school.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a point in your first year of the Marine Corps, right, that you were like, man, this is not what I thought it was going to be? In your first year. Maybe later, but we're talking about your first year right now.
Not really. Maybe dealing with some people, it made my experience a little bit not positive. But I think in general, I thought like, this is the way it's supposed to be. This is what I thought, but it was
okay. So it was everything that you expected.
Yeah.
Okay, and because there's a lot, and the reason why I'm asking you these questions is because there's a lot of people out there that are under the impression that all recruiter or most recruiters are liars, that they lie to their people.
Yeah.
Was there any point that you said, "Damn"? Fuck Staff Sergeant Ramos, because back then I was a Staff Sergeant.
Yeah.
Fuck Staff Sergeant Ramos. Look at the position that he put me in.
No, just one time. I'm gonna say this.
Okay, I want to hear about it.
When I went
here
to,
we go. Jaime, take the bite out.
Look. When I went to boot camp.
Okay.
I remember before you told me South Carolina didn't get cold. And the day that I went to boot camp, there was snow. I was wearing like a polo shirt, like short sleeve, and when I got there, it was snow everywhere. So it was like what time you get to boot camp? It's like
it was early as it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
2 a.m, snow. I'm in the yellow footprints, and I was like, he told me it didn't get cold. But other than that,
you got warm really quick after that, though.
Other than that, everything was good. Everything was great. Like I got the job that I wanted. Everything was good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that, right?
Yeah.
So next you got to the fleet.
Yeah.
What was your first duty station?
It was in San Diego, Miramar. MCAS Miramar. I was in the air wing. Yeah.
Okay. So you were over there in the air wing. Top 10. How many duty stations do you have? Because I know you only had Miramar?
Yeah, basically. I mean, but here's the thing. I did 2 deployments. And so I did SP MACTF twice. So I was in Myanmar, but then I get orders to go to the SP MACTF, and I go over here to Oceanside.
Oh, so that's what it happened.
And I was always on the move. It was everywhere.
Okay, that's good. You know what? And that's good because there's some 3043s that are always complaining that they never get to deploy. Never. And you got to deploy twice.
Yeah.
So is there any piece of advice that you can give to Marines that are your MOS? Not really even your MOS, but administrative side of things in the Marine Corps in order for them to deploy more? Was there anything that you did?
I volunteered. That was it.
You just volunteered? Like, hey,
I was
take me.
Take me. Literally, my first deployment, it was just, I was at the office. I was, supply work at the S4. And I remember nobody was at the office except the logistic major, the officer.
Okay.
And this gunny came in, and I heard the entire conversation about, we need someone to go on deployment. And when the gunny came out of the office, I was like, hey, I want to do it. And he was like, you want to do it? And
they got you?
They got me.
Hell yeah.
They just talked to my supply officer, and that's how I went to my first deployment. Yeah.
So obviously, experienced Marine, you did 2 deployments in 4 years.
4 years.
So you literally spend half of your time outside of the continental United States deploying.
Yeah.
So, and since you did the SP MACTF Central Command, which, by the way, for those of you guys that don't know, that deployment no longer exists for the Marine Corps. So can you talk to us a little bit more about your first deployment experience?
First deployment was, I don't know, I think for anyone who leaves the country, leaves and they get to somewhere else where the culture is different, everything is different. It was like, whoa, I'm not home.
Yeah,
so it was again, I went to I don't know if you can say countries, but I went to the Middle East again.
You can say the countries.
So I went to Bahrain, and I did security forces. I didn't do supply though. They got me doing security forces. I did security forces for 8 months, I believe.
Oh, damn.
And then, that was like, it was really tough because it gets super hot. But
Oh, yeah.
It was a good experience. Like especially first deployment, I was I got promoted like days before we went to deployment.
To Lance Corporal?
To Lance Corporal.
Okay.
So like I was a brand new Lance Corporal, and that's how, I did my first deployment.
Any suggestions to Lance Corporals that are tagged to go on a MU or an SP MACTAF? Because they still have SP MACTAF, just not to CENTCOM area. So is there any piece of advice, you looking back to Lance Corporal Velez?
Man.
Is there any piece of advice that you would give any other Lance Corporal for on their first deployment?
Learn your job. You have to be, especially when you're like a Lance Corporal, maybe brand new, you got to learn your job. Be respectful. I had great NCOs that I learned a lot from them, and to this day, I always I reach out to them and I'm like, hey, thank you, because they were really good to me. But it's learn your job, save your money, especially deployment. You make a lot of money tax free. Maybe at the Lance Corporal level, you don't make too much, but when you go back home, don't buy the new Charger and the Challenger. You save your money and do the right thing, and you're gonna have a good time. It was a good time.
And I think that's what I think you have a very realistic approach of what going on a deployment is. Meaning, learn your job. I think that should be the main thing. Become resourceful at your job. What I mean by that is, when you're out there, it's not like it's specifically in those supply MOSs where everybody has to talk to somebody to get something approved, and then that person gets it approved, but it still got to get approved by 3 different people. Out there, it's not really like that. Out there, it's you. The person that they're looking out to is you. There is nobody else that you can look out to. So out there on deployment is the best time for you to start developing critical thinking skills. As a matter of fact, I take that back. The best time is on pre-deployment training. That way you're
good.
That way you're actually good when you actually deploy, right? Yeah. But out there's just some things in pre-deployment training that the deployment is not going to prepare you to, because it's just simply so many things. Anything can happen. Things that you did not prepare for can happen, but they're still going to happen, and you still need to react to them.
That's correct.
So becoming a critical thinker and developing those critical thinking skills by knowing your job, because knowing your job is the very basic fundamental. Because by you knowing your job is what's going to allow you to develop those critical thinking skills. Okay, so I know this is my right and left lateral limit. These are the things that I can do within the scope of the legalities of things that I can do. That way it's like, well, I might not want to go to gunny with this one. You know what I'm saying? So I 100% understand. Now, by the time that you got back from that deployment to the time that you deployed again with me, how much time did it elapse?
Not that much. So you want to know something funny? I went to my first duty station, right? My first unit. That, by the way, when you finish MOS school and you get your orders to go to the first duty station, they tell you to go and find contacts and get a hold of people over there, because you're going over there. When I Googled my unit, it said it was shut down in 2012.
Really?
Yeah. So by the time I got back to when I got to San Diego, it was just a brand new unit. And then I did my first deployment. I was there for a few months. I did my first deployment, got back, and the unit was already shutting down again. So I got orders, and literally they put me on the SP MACTA deployment again before we shut down. I went to my new unit a week after. An officer came by, the supply officer for the SP MACTA. He came in and he was like, you're deploying with me, right? And I was like, well, I just got here.
Major Z?
Yeah, Major Z.
Shout out, Major Zaganello.
He pulled me away,
officer.
And then I checked out, but it was only maybe a month or two. I want to say a little bit more.
So, okay, so basically you got back from that deployment, your unit was shutting down, and then they were like, orders, hey, get the hell out of here.
I got orders, and then I went back to deployment.
Okay, so it wasn't really that much time. Is there anything, were you working on music? What were you working while you were back here in the United States?
Music wise, even when I was in deployment, my first deployment, I dropped one of my first songs.
Really?
And it did really good. It was funny because I used to go and do PT during the night, and I used to run around base because Bahrain is just like you can do like a big circle and you're good. And I used to hear people like playing my songs out there.
That's so cool.
It was so cool. But yeah, I did music when I was out there. I did music when I got back. I started going to actually music studios in San Diego, and it was really good. You know, I had like a whole music studio in my barracks room, and sometimes I had captains and Gunny coming in. It's like, what you doing?
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, and I bet that's gotta suck too, because obviously you were down in Miramar, but then for your second deployment, you had to actually come back over here to Oceanside, to Miramar, and then you had to live there, so you had to break down your entire studio.
Yeah, that was the worst part. Every time I moved, and I was always moving, I had to like take all my equipment away, and find a way. You have to find a way to do whatever you love.
Hell yeah. So you go back. Now I'm seeing Corporal Velez all of a sudden running around. It's like we do the Spider-Man thing. It's like, hold on a second. I know you. And then obviously we find out that we're gonna be literally in the same section, in the same MOS, in the same unit, in the same everything, right? And I remember having conversations with you while we were out there, and you were telling me, it's like, hey, I'm considering to get out. By the time that we were talking over there in Kuwait, you weren't really sure if you wanted to get out or if you wanted to stay in. But it was a crazy deployment. It was that deployment. I can tell you that deployment was crazy. I don't know if you heard, but we actually just got awarded the Presidential Unit Citation.
Oh, well, I didn't even know.
Well, I mean, I know you're out. I know you're out, but yeah, very recently the president signed, so that way we can get the Presidential Unit Citation. So if you ever do put your dress blues or your alphas, just know that you can wear the puck because it's authorized now. Oh, nice. Now, with that being said, there was a lot of crazy things that happened during that MOS or during that deployment. I'm sorry. Was the deployment when you actually said, you know what, I'm gonna commit to getting out? Because I remember you only had a couple of months.
Yeah, I got back. Only had maybe a month and a half to get out.
So was the deployment the time that you were like, yeah, I'm gonna get out?
Yes, but it was not really like the deployment. At least it was. I think my first deployment, I got injured, and then I was, trying to keep up. Okay. And then there's the last deployment. Also, I was not doing well physically, so I just said, I think it's time to take a break, because I feel like everything that I did was back to back, deployments, and you go to field ops, and you go to do this and that, and
then on palms. You were touring on palms for like a month.
Yeah, so by the time, like by the end of the contract, I need a break. I couldn't do it. So yeah, that's when I decided.
Now, what changed? Because remember, we just spoke about in the beginning, you were looking for that challenge.
Yeah.
Now, by the end of your contract, you're like, man, I need a break. So what changed?
I think it was just like, first deployment, I get injured, I get back, I try to get help, and then COVID started. So, I couldn't even go to physical therapy. And then they're like, oh, we need someone else from deployment again. And the only person who could go was me. And I was down for it. I'm always down for it. But then things started going on. I started getting some all the things like the last deployment. I was getting, my heart rate was going through the roof.
Really?
Every day I thought I was gonna have like a heart attack.
Damn. Well, you're also drinking a shit ton of energy drinks.
That's the thing. I was not one of those.
Really?
I was not one of those. I used to maybe like smoke, but but like my heart was going through the roof.
Really?
I was not feeling well. I went to medical, and I think it was that was the thing. It was like, how when you go to medical, sometimes you don't even feel like you get the help you need. Yeah. And even when I got back,
God forbid you say that.
I know
all the dogs out here on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are gonna be like, oh no, we always provide the help that you need.
No. So yeah, but when I got back, I went to medical again, and it was like I tried to put an extension package.
Okay.
But
What happened with that?
So because I went back to a unit, because I told you I got ordered to that unit at the week after I checked in. I went on deployment. Nobody knew who I was. Not even in the office that I was working at. Nobody knew who I was. So
something went wrong. Please try again.
No, nothing went wrong. I promise you. That's just serious.
So I went back. Nobody knew who I was, and I was talking about, to the gunny there, like, hey, I'm not feeling that well. I don't know if I can get help while I'm at active duty, because I'm about to get out. And he's like, well, if you want to put an extension package, you have to do PFD, CFD. You got to do this and that. And I'm like, but I just got back. And they even, like, I went into medical, so they put me on light duty, like, over there. So I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to put an extension package.
You were in shape, too. I remember when we were in deployment, we used to go to the gym all the time.
Yeah, I was good.
Yeah, you were in good shape, too. Yeah.
But at least for me, I was trying to get help while I was on active duty.
Yeah.
And I didn't have time. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get out and then, figure it out.
Now, let me ask you this. Some people out there might say, well, show me like how good you were, right? Should have the Marine Corps retained you or did better to retain you? Even though I guess this is a subject of debate, and you guys let me know in the comments. But if we have good Marines, even though they have medical issues, like you, which is highly unfortunate that your medical issues just happen to be or happen to flare up whenever you're getting out of the military, how far should you think that we should retain those Marines?
Honestly, I don't even know. I don't even think at the end of the day, I think it's what the Marine Corps needs. And if they didn't need me, I'll get out. But I think at the time I was,
what makes the Marine Corps is Marines like yourself. Yeah. You deployed twice.
I never got in trouble. I did my job. I was really good. I think I was really good. But
I'm telling you, as your staff NCO, that where you were I directly supervised you. Well, technically, Gunny Dickerson. Shout out to Gunny Dickerson. Yeah. But technically, we all talked. And I know that you were doing extremely well. As a matter of fact, he was one of his go-tos. You were literally, because it was only yourself, Mardigan, and Sergeant, what was his name?
Sergeant Reyes.
And Sergeant Reyes. That's it. That was it. 3 Marines in charge of the entire. How many Marines were in the SP MACTAB? Like 1,600? Like a shit ton? In charge of the entirety of the SP MACTAB. I remember you guys going out there on the quad cons, 134 degrees out, and Gunny Dickerson, shout out, he was having you guys like inventory. Matter of fact, remember that one time that we were helping you guys out, and then all this because you guys needed help. There's only 3 of you guys, and there was like 8 quad cons that we just needed to get rid of all the shit that we were gonna need to get rid of. Which that brings me to a little side note that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So you guys were in charge of a lot of cargo out there. About estimatedly, right? Because obviously you saw the numbers. Around how much millions of dollars of equipment was the SP MACTAF in charge of?
A lot.
A lot? Are you talking about millions or
millions?
Millions of dollars. What was the directive that we got whenever it was time for us to pack our shit and leave?
You just pack everything and then just.
If you can't truck it, fuck it.
Yeah.
If you can't truck it, fuck it. What I mean by that was, we were literally throwing away shit in the dumpsters there.
No, it's crazy because I even remember being in over there in deployment, and this, I think it was like a captain. He came in, he found something in a lot. He's like, hey, I brought this. I don't even know what it is. Just can you guys figure it out? And that's our job, is supply. Yeah. When they opened the case, I think I was the only one who knew because I used to use that in my first deployment for security, and it was one of these like
G-Boss. Was it a G-Boss?
I think so. I don't even remember the name, but the price of that is just like $100,000, and that was in a lot. Nobody knew who it belonged to. So that's how crazy it is,
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, that there's nobody out there. It was like up to Corporal Velez to figure that out. Like, where the hell is that $100,000 piece of equipment it goes to? And a lot of people don't realize how valuable that is, right? Because we're talking about that on the military side, but imagine on the actual civilian side, how valuable that actually is, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna go ahead and talk about how commendable it is. So there you are. You put in your extension package. Obviously, you're injured or whatever. Do you feel that you got the help that you needed?
I mean, how I said, when I got back, it was only a month and a half. So it's like, I'll go to medical. Oh, well, you don't have time. Deal with that when you get out. Oh, you deal with that when you get out. You know, so it's kind of like, well, I have to get out. I have no. I couldn't even put the extension package all the way because, you know, when I brought the idea, I was like, hey, to the gunny there in the unit.
And you had no unit because no unit knew you.
Know about me, you know. They were like,
That's
well,
shitty.
the sergeant major doesn't know you, so you have to do this and that. And if you can do it.
In a month and a half.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Like,
so you said, fuck it.
I said, fuck it, yeah.
And I'm going to get out.
Yeah.
And you got out of the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And then how was that transition into 4 years of military? Not only 4 years of military, but 4 years in a different country because you were coming straight from Puerto Rico, born, raised, and recruited out of Puerto Rico. And then now you find yourself in Southern California outside of the Marine Corps. How was that transition for you?
You know, I had a friend who got out first, and me and him, we decided to, you know, use the benefits, use the GI Bill, go to college, do our thing. So we moved to LA. We became roommates, and I think that made it easier. But everything else, it was strange, you know, being like.
What would you say was your biggest struggle?
Biggest struggle. I don't know. I feel like it's just being in LA. It was just different. It's like being around military people. Like you understand each other. And then you get to like outside and people complain and people talk about this and that, and you're like, I don't really get it. Like how the people behave, but it's just different. It's too like it takes time to get used to it.
How long did it take you? Are you used to it at all?
I mean, by now a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel like I still have some Marine Corps. You know,
of course, it's just that like that's a part of you that will always be there. I think that's why we say that once a Marine's always a Marine, because that part of you will always be there. Now, you got out. You were going to school for finances. Mm-hmm. You joined the Marine Corps. You're doing supply/financing because I know, you know, in the supply realm you deal with some finances. Now you get out and you go directly into music.
Yeah.
What made you make that transition?
I mean, for me, it was like, if I'm not doing the military, I'm gonna do music. I think it's time to actually do it, do my thing. And you know, at this point, I'm trying to, you know, get all the opportunities I can, do everything that I can. I mean, I do my own music as an artist. I'm working as a sound engineer. I do so many things, music production. I write songs for people. I do so much, but it has been a blessing so far.
Really?
I had the opportunity to meet like people, like big people, and it's crazy how you get to know people so fast and people that are like really in the business. So I'm doing great. I'm doing fine, and I love it. So, you know, I got out of the military. I thought maybe I was gonna regret it, but I'm doing great.
Yeah, and I think it's as long as you have a plan, and I'm really happy to hear, because I truly feel, and this is just my personal opinion, I truly feel, even while you were inside, that you and I were having those conversations, I always used to say, like, dog, like, you need to start doing this, like, now. You need to start preparing now. And the fact that you got back a month and a half, I don't feel that me either, because I was your staff NCO as well, set you up for success how you deserve to be set up for success. Okay? I will tell you this though, I am extremely happy to hear that you're doing so well outside of the military. Not only that, just so you know, I still put your songs on my listen. I can show you
Yeah.
my phone. I still put your songs because you have some really good songs. And if you guys don't know, this guy's on Spotify has some freaking bangers out there in Spotify.
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure. Go check me out.
yeah, so go check them out. I'll give you an opportunity at the end to say where they can find your music at. But yeah, so you're doing great at that. And what inspired you to go into music like you
Music,
did?
man. I feel like it was the only thing I knew how to like. I did music since I've been doing music since I was in like elementary school. So it's like the only thing I know.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it's time. I started playing instruments in elementary school. I went to La Escuela Libre de Música in San
Yeah.
Juan, which is like 6 years of just like music,
Yeah. What instrument?
guitar.
Yeah.
And then I graduated, and at that point I was like, maybe music, I'm not really gonna do it, but I don't feel like I can ever
Would you
stop
say that
doing music.
naysayers was that stopped you from pursuing your music career, and specifically in Puerto Rico? Right, because in Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna do music? Oh, yeah, good
Another
luck."
one.
And another one.
It's like everyone's trying to do music. Everyone, I think for me, I wanted to be the best. Especially like I started playing the instruments, but then you learn something new that you really like. It's like, oh, I didn't know like about this. Because especially like in music, people, you see the artist, but there's so much behind the artist.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to do sound engineering, and I'm inside of a studio. And now I really want to do this. I want to be a sound engineer. So at that point, I wanted to do music production, sound engineering, but in Puerto Rico, there's no opportunities in that. Like,
Really?
like,
Why do you feel that there are no opportunities?
because, for example, over here you can go to Berkeley. You can go to the school that I'm going to, and you can get a bachelor degree. You can get in the studio with people that actually know. And Puerto Rico, you don't really have a place you can study music production like that.
Then why is it that Puerto Rico's like the mecca for that stuff? Is Puerto
Yeah.
Rico that? Do you think that Puerto Rico is the mecca?
Oh yeah,
For
sure.
for music. I mean, talk about urban music. Like
Yeah,
I'm talking.
but that's the thing. It's like you have to be a reggaeton artist. You have to be a Latin trap artist. You have to get into that. So if you're not into that, like for example, when I was in school, I went to study music for 6 years, and I'm studying like classical music. Like nobody wants to do classical music.
Yeah.
And classical music for me is like beautiful, but it's like, well, you're gonna become a teacher.
yeah.
You gotta survive with something. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I always loved reggaeton, but so if you're a reggaeton artist, for sure. But I think people, we have some of the greatest producers, but there's also some producers that they're on this side. They're living in Miami, or they're living here in LA,
Yeah.
But like the great sound engineering's like the greatest like studios where all the reggaeton artists are recording, they're like in Miami or they're over here in LA. So in Puerto Rico, yeah, we got the best, like the biggest artists, but.
Yeah.
But they have to
Once
come
they
here
make it,
they move out here.
They come out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's interesting.
yeah, so that's why I think being over here has been a blessing, though, because it's really expensive to be here.
Yeah.
Not everyone, using the military benefits, I've been able to do this. So it's great.
So which career? Because I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm completely ignorant to everything that has to do with music, right?
Yeah.
I love hearing music, but that's about the extent
That's
of it.
about it. Yeah, that's about it.
So I know there's a lot that goes behind those
Yeah.
things. Now that you've seen behind the curtain of what it takes to be an artist, which one would you rather prefer? Would you rather prefer to be the artist, or would you rather prefer to be the one behind the artist as a sound engineer? Because you're a good artist, man. Let me tell you that.
That's the thing. It's
You're a
like
good
I'm going
artist.
for an artist, but at the same time, I just fell in love with everything behind it. And not even that. Like right now, I just finished doing a project. It was for the school, but for like sound for movies and TV. And when you work on that, and you like, now you see how much money people make, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this shit. But it's really good though. Like there's so much that you can do, and just people don't know about it. People don't realize. And right now, I would say sometimes you even make money behind the scenes, more money than the artist. Like you don't have to be the artist, and people don't know that, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of things you can do.
So as you know, the movie industry, it's completely paralyzed right
Yeah.
now because over there in LA, you
Yeah.
know, the movement that they're doing over there in LA, has that impacted your school, or has that given you, oh man, like I'm scared of this, or does that motivate you or fuel you?
Um, right now, I would say I wish that there was no strike right now. I mean, I understand why they're doing it, and I hope they get everyone gets what they need. But it's just like there's an opportunity that I'm missing out because there's no movies being made, there's no TV shows going on, there's nothing going on. So, but hopefully everything gets back to normal, and I can start working. Stuff again.
No, and yeah, I don't, just that I don't know the impact that is having on the everyday person like you, right? Like that is, you're going to school and essentially you can work in things
I
like
can
that.
work in things
like that. And one of the things that I remember that I told you once I started hearing your music, I was like, "Dog, you're good. Like this song is really good." And then you drop another banger, and I was like, "Hell yeah, dude!"
And I got more, but it's just like I'm holding up right now.
But I'm gonna tell you this. At the end of this podcast, I'm definitely going to play one of your songs. Matter of fact, if we can play one of your songs in the background of this, will be absolutely amazing. So that way people can hear you, and then we can definitely do that a little bit more. Now, what's in the future for you, brother? We talked about the present. We talk about the past. We talk about the present. What is the future holding for Jose Velez?
So right now I'm just have a couple of songs that I'm working on. I'm just people think you make songs and you drop the songs, but you have to build a brand, you have to do a lot of things, and that's what I'm working on right now. And future for me is like hopefully maybe in the next 6 months I'm gonna come out with a lot of music and music videos and everything that I need to do, and just get back into it. I feel like I've been away from it for a little bit, but it's because there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and you just gotta I'm enjoying the process though. I'm enjoying the process. I love the process of making music. So whenever I feel like I'm ready, I'm gonna start dropping everything.
Hell yeah, and I think that's good. I think that as long as you are keeping yourself busy, even behind the scenes, it's gonna be productive. It's gonna bear fruit because you know that you've been extremely busy. Not only that, man, like you just had a daughter,
a boy,
right? A boy. You just had a boy.
A boy.
Yeah, you just had a boy.
He's turning 3 months soon.
Hell yeah, man! So congratulations.
Thank you.
You just had a boy, and it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like now you are. It's not just the music. Now you know that you have to take care of this family. And that is something that's gonna be extremely rewardful because he is going to see how hard his dad works to not only make yourself successful, but to see your family successful. Yeah. So, Jose, I definitely appreciate you coming by today talking with me.
Thank you.
Where can people find you on social media?
All my social medias are the same. Velez Music PR. Velez VELEZ Music PR. Hey, just go ahead.
What about Spotify?
Spotify is Velez. Just Velez.
Just Velez?
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I'm telling you, I'm one of the monthly listeners for Velez, and I'm telling you, his music, it's banging. I'm telling you, it's really good. If you're trying to listen to a new upcoming artist, make sure that you guys listen to Velez, because I'm telling you, this guy is going to be huge. All right, Velez, I appreciate you coming through, brother.
Thank you.
I'll see you.